What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Nerdy Mark channel. I am Sid the Nerdy Mark, and today I have your review of AEW and NXT. Now, a couple of things. I know that last week I didn't put out an AEW NXT review. I'm sorry, I just didn't do it. That's all. I really don't have like an excuse. I just didn't do it. So I am very sorry about that. Just things got a little busy towards the end. But, we're here now. I'm here to do this review, so I would like to do it. But before that, I hope you like the t-shirt. I just ordered it from Pro Wrestling Tees. Warhausen. It's a Warhausen t-shirt. It's Danhausen and, Warhorse right there, WrestleMania. The event never happened, but I saw that this had like a Castlevania inspired design, so I said I have to buy it. So that's why I bought it. I hope you like it. I feel it's a little bit big. Maybe I could have gone for a medium instead of a large. Whatever. Anyway, but with that being said, hope you like the shirt, but let's get down to it. Let's talk about this week's flagship wrestling shows, and we'll start with AEW. So, a lot to unpack on both of these shows, but let's begin with AEW, and it started with a tag team match for the AEW tag titles. Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page defend against the Natural Nightmares, the team of Dustin Rhodes and QT Marshall, who's been getting very lovey-dovey with Allie, the former bunny of the Butcher and Baker and Candlestick Maker and Bunny or whatever. Now she's regular old Allie. I don't know. This was a very good match. Great way to start out Dynamite. Only Kenny got an entrance, which was kind of weird, but it is Kenny Omega, so I'm not complaining. But Kenny and Dustin do have a great sequence. QT continues to improve his wrestling game, and I feel like he's also gotten a bit leaner. I think he's doing his DDP yoga. Britt Baker is sitting towards the outside of the arena because she wants to not be anywhere close to anybody, as she is a doctor and she's a dentist, in case you didn't know. She keeps sending Tony Schiavone notes, which is funny. This is kind of the story going on throughout the night. She has, like I said, isolated herself from everybody and whatnot. Hangman is on fire this night. He just comes in with a barrage of strikes and lariats and whatnot, doing that cowboy shit that he's always so good at. Dustin hit 2 consecutive power slams on both Page and Omega. Those are always awesome. Followed by moonsaults to both Omega and Page as well. Allie does finally come out to encourage QT Marshall and whatnot, but even though he's able to kick out of a V-trigger, he finally does become the victim of the last call, and Omega and Page retain their tag team championship. Now, this was a really good match, like I said. QT, continues to get better and better. The storyline with him and Allie, kind of know where it's going. It's going to either lead to a QT Marshall heel turn, or Allie kicking him in the balls and joining Butcher and Baker and Candlestick Maker again. Something like that. I don't know what's happening, but good to see that Hangman and Kenny are going into Fyter Fest as the champions. We first get a vignette for Anna Jay. She is, talking about how hard she worked to get in here, and now she is in action against the returning Abaddon. This is her AEW Dynamite debut as well. She's been doing some matches on Dark, but she's finally on AEW, and she is, of course, officially All Elite, which is awesome. Abaddon murders Anna Jay. So what was the point of that whole vignette that Anna Jay had, I wonder? But no sooner than I asked this question, the Dark Order came out. They come out. Colt Cabana is sitting, in the stands. Evil Uno comes in, hands over an envelope to Cabana, and then the Dark Order help Anna Jay to the back. There's a lot of interesting development. It looks like Brody Lee has gotten very, very aggressive on his search for newer recruits to join the Dark Order. I'm very much looking forward to see what they do with both Jay and Cabana. So, the next match on this card is MJF versus Billy Gunn. Pretty decent match, nothing to write home about here. Billy Gunn is coming out in his Mr. Ass-inspired trunks, which I thought was an interesting touch. MJF comes in, does his heelish things. Billy Gunn is pretty much outmaneuvering and overpowering MJF for the most part of this match until MJF hits a chop block onto Billy and continues to target the leg. He locks in a submission while he has his hands on the ropes, which Aubrey does kick off. This distraction allows Wardlow to come in and throw the dynamite ring very discreetly to MJF, which he does use to hit Billy Gunn on the face, the kiss the ring, that's what it's called, I guess. And of course, he does win the match. Afterwards, Jurassic Express attack both MJF and Wardlow, leading to a pull-apart brawl. Next week, we are finally getting Wardlow versus Luchasaurus. That is going to be a damn good match. And it looks like the feud between Jungle Boy and MJF is far from over. So looking forward to see what else develops from there. We then have a promo by Les Sex Gods, who are supposed to be in action later tonight against the Best Friends. One thing I gotta note, Chris Jericho attacking Orange Cassidy with the blood oranges. Now, I get why he did that, but that's a waste of oranges, man. And, you know, if he had sent that over to my house, we would be good for at least the next 2 weeks, or at least even 3 weeks. We would not have to go to the store and shop for oranges, especially during these times where we're trying to minimize the amount of times we're trying to go outside, you know. So he could have given those oranges to me. I don't know why he had to, like, waste them all. Kids are starving in Africa, Chris Jericho. Come on, dude. Anyway, after that, Britt Baker and Tony Schiavone on an interview. Britt Baker is very angry that, you know, that she's injured, of course. Tony Schiavone announces that Penelope Ford will be taking on Hikaru Shida at Fyter Fest. That should be a good match. Britt is, of course, angry at Tony now and tells Reba, a.k.a. Rebel, to drive off. And who is driving but, of course, Big Swole. And she says, "Where to, Doctor?" a la, you know, Undertaker. "Where to, Stephanie?" That whole thing. That was cool. We will talk about this a little bit later. Up next, we have Cody about to defend his TNT title, but before he does, he and Arn Anderson cut a promo. Cody is wondering if he's still part of the Elite because no one came out to help him, and neither did the Natural Nightmares, Dustin and QT. So he's wondering what he should be doing. I don't know what he should do and what's going to happen. I have absolutely no idea. He then gives the mic to Arn Anderson. Jake Hager is in the back, who is, you know, not looking at the monitor sideways. Everyone knows the best way to watch it is when you look at it sideways, okay? And so, Jake Hager, you need to check yourself. I mean, you were in that other place. You should have learned that by now. Anderson reveals who Cody's opponent is. It is the absolute Ricky Starks. Now, for the 3 or 4 episodes I watched NWA Power, I was very impressed with Ricky Starks, so I was really glad to see him get a shot. Really good match. This is one of my favorite matches of the night. Starks is definitely very much a high flyer, but can also hold his own on the mat. A lot of mat wrestling does ensue a little bit. Starks does have Cody on the ropes, but Arn helps Cody out of the ropes. Ricky is, of course, being more of the heel, though, in this match, despite all that. Gives Cody a hell of a contest, but finally, Cody does hit the crossroads to win the match. This was the best TNT title match I've seen so far, so I just hope it only goes up from here. And personally, who I think his next one should be, not maybe Danhausen, but I think it should be Warhorse. I would very much like to see that match. So, you know, AEW, make it happen. We now have the Superbad Squad, the team of Jimmy Havoc and Kip Sabian, taking on the Young Bucks. The Superbad Squad have a rad new heavy metal theme, which is awesome. I really, really dig it. Havoc does go for the ribs of Matt as they are still taped up from the Stadium Stampede match. They can get an easy target for Mr. Havoc. Butcher and Blade are in the stands. They're still not happy with the Young Bucks for some reason, and they're also dressed up like Popeye the Sailor. I don't know why. Are they looking for a discount on spinach? I'm not sure. They do quickly jump the rail and distract the Bucks. This allows Jimmy to hit Matt with a wet floor sign, and then right onto the ribs. FTR do come out to even out the odds. They're kind of, you know, rooting for the Young Bucks to get this win. Matt then tags in Nick, who is on absolute fire at this whole point. Nick has Sabian in a sharpshooter, while Matt moonsaults onto Sabian while he's locked in the sharpshooter. That was awesome. Jimmy Havoc does come in with a mallet that distracts the ref. This allows Penelope Ford to slide in and whack Nick on the back with the wet floor sign again. And finally, the Bucks are about to go for a Meltzer driver, but FTR and Butcher and Blade do get into it. This distraction allows them to not do it, but Matt does hit a double suplex onto Jimmy and Sabian. And then finally a super kick party, and they also make Sabian tombstone Jimmy Havoc, which was really awesome. Finally, the Young Bucks do win when they hit the Kamagoye onto Havoc, I believe. And then after that, Butcher and Blade and FTR do get into the whole thing. They involve themselves into this. Finally, this whole segment and match ends when we have FTR and Young Bucks hitting Stereo Brain Busters, I think, onto the heels. So that was pretty cool. I'm really excited. And by the way, I think they're calling the Shatter Machine the Goodnight Express. Or is that, an actual move? I don't know. Believe that in the comments below. But this was really cool. Really looking forward to the, the eventual match between the Bucks and FTR. Now, a few promos to talk about before the main event. First, we have Taz and Brian Cage cutting a promo. It talks. That's right. Brian Cage wishes Fyter Fest was right now, so that was pretty cool. I think he should still let Taz just do the talking. Brian Cage, he's a tremendous athlete, but on the mic, no, I'm not really feeling it. However, Moxley, on the other hand, cuts a very good promo. This is how you cut a promo, Brian Cage. Take notes. But then again, you also have Taz, who cuts a good promo, so take notes from him too. Anyway, he says he's got demons, so that's cool. What else is new? But we do finally find that Rebel has found Britt Baker in a dumpster, and she fires and then unfires her, much like J.J. Jameson would do. He's not here right now. He's at home because of the whole pandemic, but he wanted to pay a visit, but I told him not to. He keeps trying to fire me. I don't know what that's all about. Anyway, but she does threaten to sue Big Swole, so that was pretty cool. Really looking forward to this eventual match between Swole and Britt Baker possibly at All Out, since she said she'd be good to go by then. So, and also I'm loving that they're doing something creative with Britt Baker, despite the fact that she's injured. And now it's time for the main event. We have Les Sex Gods taking on the Best Friends. We have unkillable Matt Hardy on commentary now. Best Friends are a lot more aggressive to start because of what Jericho and Sammy did to Orange Cassidy, along with the Inner Circle, of course. And Chuck then chokes out Chris with his tank top, a la Daniel Bryan choking out Justin Roberts, so that was interesting. Hopefully he doesn't get fired anytime soon. But Matt does continue to put over Sammy Guevara on commentary. He even says that he's going to let Sammy Guevara choose which version of Matt Hardy he wants to face next week when they have their rematch. So that should be interesting. I wonder which version he's going to pick. And whatnot. So Trent goes for a tope, but Jericho does hit him with Floyd to give the advantage to Les Sex Gods. And then Jericho counters a sliced bread into a lion tamer, which was pretty awesome. I liked that. Again, we give Chris Jericho a lot of credit for his innovation and his relevancy, continuing to stay relevant. But the man, he's touching 50, but he's still very athletic for his age, so that's pretty awesome. Sammy and Trent then have a really good sequence, but Sammy loses his cool after Trent kicks out of a shooting star press. The cameraman accidentally trips Guevara as he's running to the ropes, but this allows Trent to hit his finisher, which I forgot what it's called, to win the match, and they keep their title shot against Hangman, Adam Page, and Kenny Omega at Fyter Fest. So I'm excited for that match. All of a sudden, the cameraman comes into the ring, and it is revealed to be Orange Cassidy, who beats up on Chris Jericho to end out Dynamite. This sets up their match for Fyter Fest. It's official: Chris Jericho versus Orange Cassidy at Fyter Fest. Chris Jericho, you have no idea what you've gotten yourself into. But with that being said, let's move on to NXT. We begin NXT with a tag team title defense, much like AEW. It is Imperium taking on Breezango, and Breezango come in to a parody of Imperium's intro, which is awesome. I loved it. They have a remix version of Imperium's theme. They're calling themselves Marsupial and Fabio, which is hilarious. with Fandango wearing a blonde wig resembling Fabio, which was awesome. I love that. But Imperium, unfortunately, didn't love it so much, and they beat the crap out of Tyler Breeze to begin the match. Breezango then hits a faux pas, which was a kind of a turnbuckle move, a top rope move. It looked really cool. I hope they do it a little bit more often. This is to no avail. Indus Sher do come in, and they are quickly attacked by Lorcan and Birch. Doesn't this look familiar? Because of all this confusion, Fandango tries to pin the illegal man, which was Marcel Barthel. This allows Eichner to hit a DDT, pin Fandango to win the match. So this was really good stuff. Really fantastic way to start off NXT, and very good match. We have a interview with the Velvetine Dream, and Dexter Lumis slips a drawing into Velvetine Dream's chair, which the Dream picks up. The drawing is of Dream and Lumis holding the tag team straps, which was pretty cool. And Dream does refuse the offer. He just says that I helped you because you helped me. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less, which basically means they're going to be a tag team, doesn't it? I hope to see that sometime in the near future, because I think those two are actually a pretty good team. So we now have Damien Priest taking on Killian Dane in a pretty decent match. Nothing to write home here. Is it just me, or does Priest have like a remixed version of his theme? He has hurt his lower back because of the bump he took from his match against Balor when he hurt his back on the steel steps. Dane does target it, very similar to how Jimmy Havoc targeted Matt Jackson's back. I mean, I think it is coincidence, but hey, whatever. Dane does target it with leg drops, suplexes, and a face buster. However, Priest is able to fight back and eventually hit the Reckoning onto Dane to win. Afterwards, we see Killian Dane walking to the back, and he encounters a drunk Robert Stone, who he just kind of knocks onto the ground. So that was interesting. But this does segue into our next match. And this next match is my love of my life, Xia Li, taking on Aaliyah. For what? Like the 5 millionth time? What the hell, NXT? Do you not think that Xia Li is capable of facing anyone else except for Aaliyah? What is going on here? Aaliyah helps a heavily drunken Robert Stone to the front, towards the steel steps. Aaliyah comes in and gets murdered by Xia Li for a little bit. Happy day. Until Robert Stone gets up and he throws up in the ring. Very, very nice. This distraction allows Aaliyah to pin my soulmate Xia Li to win the match, and she carries Robert Stone out of there. Although I'm sad that Xia Li lost, could be some interesting storyline between Robert Stone and Aaliyah. Looking forward to see where this goes. So we have a promo with Timothy Thatcher. He's running a class called Thatch As Thatch Can, which is like the art of catch wrestling and submission wrestling. He's teaching how to do a Fujiwara armbar and a full Nelson. Well, not a full Nelson, some other submission move. And he basically says, this is it for today. Next week, the real work begins. So we'll see what's going on with Timothy Thatcher. I don't know where they're going with this, but, I'm willing to wait and see. We do have Undisputed Therapy, which is, of course, Roderick Strong getting therapy because he keeps seeing Dexter Lumis everywhere he goes. This is a really fun segment. Really, really enjoyed it. Kyle O'Reilly is the doctor. Again, a great way to utilize Kyle O'Reilly during his injury, continuing to have him do all these vignettes with the Undisputed Era. So good stuff there. He sees a lot of references to Roderick Strong does. He sees a lot of references to Dexter Lumis when he takes the Rorschach test. Then he's diagnosed with a fear of trunks. So Cole and Fish try to get Roderick Strong to go into a trunk to face his fears, but no, Roddy's having none of it, and he just legs it out of there. So that was a funny segment. And backstage, we do have Adam Cole and Keith Lee sharing a promo, where we also see the hourglass that was left behind by Karrion Kross last week. And Keith Lee picks it up. He says, yeah, your time is running out with the NXT Championship, but it's not going to be Kross. It's going to be me who takes it off of you. And he drops the hourglass. So we stay with the NXT champion Adam Cole baby for a while. You thought I wasn't going to do that, didn't you? Anyway, but he comes out and he talks about his 381-day reign as NXT champion. Only 19 more days to that big 400. So, that's pretty cool. He responds to Lee by saying that he's vying for his North American title just as much as Lee is vying for the NXT championship. Lee comes in, grabs the microphone, but before he can say anything, he's interrupted by Johnny Gargano, who says that he pinned Lee last week, so he deserves another shot at the North American championship. Keith Lee makes a dirty joke about Candice LeRae, who said that when he picked up Candice, she said that it was the most action she ever had in a long time. That was funny. I loved it. And Keith Lee himself was laughing. He couldn't control himself there. But that was, I'm laughing, but that was good stuff. That was funny. Finn Balor comes in, the cool Finn Balor, and now everything is cool again. And he basically says that everyone can stop being a mark for themselves and be a mark for me now. Johnny says, my name is Johnny, not Mark. Oh, yeah, very funny, Johnny. Good job. But he also wants the North American title because he's never held it. And then he says, once I take it, I'm coming for you. And he looks at Adam Cole. Then after this, William Regal shows up on the Titantron and he announces that next week we will have a triple threat match between the North American champion Keith Lee, Johnny Gargano, and Finn Balor. Whoever wins that match obviously wins the North American title. And then on July 8th, they will take it to a match against Adam Cole baby, and it's a winner take all match. That should be cool. Definitely NXT definitely not trying to compensate for Fyre Fest, and whatnot. But anyway, I'm really excited for this triple threat match and the eventual match between Adam Cole, because I think it is about time that Adam Cole drop the title to someone else. He's done a great job, but I think his time is up. So after all this, we had Keith Lee going backstage, and he's interrupted by Candice LeRae, who is taken out by Mia Yim, because apparently I think Candice LeRae is supposed to be injured, so I guess they're writing her off TV. So speedy recovery to the Poison Pixie. But anyway, we get our next match. This, I guess, segues really well into the women's division. Kaden Carter versus Dakota Kai. Short match here. Didn't really do much for me, but it was cool. Casey Catanzaro was on Carter's corner. Say that 5 times fast. And Raquel, of course, on Dakota's as usual. Despite Raquel getting in Kaden's face, Carter does have a lot of the offense and the advantage for the majority of the part, but another distraction allows Dakota Kai to submit Kaden Carter to win this match. Then we also had the aftermath of the broken glass. We see Scarlett walking slowly up to the broken glass, and we have Karrion Kross breaking the glass with his boot. So, wonder what that could mean. Up next, we do have Mercedes Martinez in a vignette. Is she going to be the new Shayna Baszler? I don't know. Perhaps. Bronson Reed then comes in and he murders Leon Ruff, as a lot of people seem to be doing. Then he gets on the mic and he challenges Karrion Kross. I love Bronson Reed to death, but that is a big mistake, my friend. He then carries Leon Ruff to the back as a show of sportsmanship and whatnot. So that's pretty cool. Then after that, we see that Damien Priest's cars are slashed. And then out comes Cameron Grimes asking him if he can get him an Uber, and he drives off in his white car, whatever car that is. And next week we are finally getting Cameron Grimes versus Damien Priest, so that should be a good match. At this point, is Damien Priest a babyface? I guess he is, because Cameron Grimes is just being a dick. So I guess Priest is like our babyface. I think he's more of an anti-hero, much like Balor. So next up, we do have Santos Escobar coming in with, of course, Joaquin Wilde and Raul Mendoza. He calls their team El Legado del Fantasma, which is, I guess, the legacy of Fantasma. Drake Maverick comes in and he says, I got more guts than brains, or something like that. Comes in, goes straight for Escobar, but of course, Mendoza and Wilde are give Escobar the advantage, finally allowing Escobar to hit up the Phantom Driver onto Drake Maverick through a table. I'm looking forward to see what they do with Santos Escobar. This should be really cool. Maverick is taken out on a stretcher with Jake Atlas following him. I would love to see a 6-man tag match between, Escobar, Mendoza, and Wilde versus, of course, Maverick Atlas and maybe even Kushida. That would be a cool match. I'd like to see that at some point. But looking forward to see what they do with Santos Escobar. And finally, our main event, which is, you guessed it, another tag match. I wonder why they're trying to follow AEW so hard anyway. But Sasha Banks and Bayley, the WWE Tag Team Champions, aka Bayley Two Straps, take on the team of Tegan Nox and Shotzi Blackheart. They're defending their tag team titles, of course. Fantastic match here, though, despite the whole thing, what I just said. It is a fantastic match, absolutely. Sasha and Tegan start off with some mat wrestling, which was really good stuff. Bayley and Shotzi come in, more mat wrestling ensues, and even a little bit more agility is in there. Some great tandem offense by Nox and Blackheart. Nox choke slams Banks at one point onto Bayley on the outside, and then Shotzi follows up with a diving crossbody, which looked awesome. Then after a sequence of covers by both Sasha and Shotzi, Sasha does try to get in the Banks statement, but Shotzi does get her into her own submission. This drives Bayley to come in with a chair. Again, what is it with them borrowing ideas from AEW? She comes in with a chair. Tegan Nox snatches it from Bayley. The ref is distracted by Tegan with the chair. This allows Bayley to knock Shotzi Blackheart off of Sasha. Finally, Sasha does lock in the bank statement onto Shotzi, who taps out, and of course the golden role models, I think that's what they're called, retain their tag team belts. Out comes Io Shirai while they're celebrating and beats the shit out of both teams. That was awesome. She picks up her NXT title and says, "This is my NXT," and that's how we end NXT. So overall, both shows were absolutely solid. I can see that NXT is starting to build more storylines a little bit better now. I heard that Vince McMahon is apparently trying to, take charge of NXT a little bit more, which I'm very much on the fence about. I don't know if he's going to do it properly. But anyway, that's another story for another time. As far as matches of the night goes, oh, by the way, yeah, I think AEW was very slightly better, like marginally better than NXT, because NXT absolutely killed it this week. So I really enjoyed it. But with that being said, as far as matches of the night for me on AEW, Cody versus Ricky Starks was really, really good. Matt and Nick Jackson versus Jimmy Havoc and Kip Sabian, or the Young Bucks versus Superbad Squad. Great match there. And of course, the main event between Les Sex Gods and Best Friends. Those were my matches of the night from AEW. As far as NXT goes, I'm just going to give it to both tag team matches. I'm going to say that Imperium versus Breezango was a fantastic match, as well as Sasha and Bayley versus Tegan and Shotzi. So those were all my matches of the night. So that pretty much concludes my review of AEW and NXT this week. Let me know what you guys thought about both shows in the comment section below. And by the way, I'm active on Twitter once again, so definitely follow me on social media if you haven't already. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Tell your friends about the Nerdy Mark, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.